Here to entertain you while your code is still running. Welcome to the Evil Works podcast, everyone. I am your host, Lee. I'm here today with Liv. Say hi, Liv.
Hi.
And Graham. Say
Hello.
hi, Graham. And today we're going to talk to you about whatever data science topic pops into our mind. So to kick us off, I wanted to ask a particular question to Liv. Hello. Liv, what do you do at Evil Works?
Anything admin related, really, and touch on the creative side as well with the scheduling.
For sure, and also you're in videos as well.
Yes,
You've been in a
I'm
couple.
videos, yeah.
But your background is not in data science at all, is it?
No.
No.
I have no idea when it comes to data science, although I feel like I'm learning.
You feel like you're learning?
I'm picking up a little bit.
What do you feel like you've learned so far?
Well, I feel like I understand what data science does for businesses.
That's important because there's a lot of data science.
Most businesses don't understand what data science can do for business.
Okay, so I'm ahead of the game.
I was going to say students, but actually business is accurate.
Yeah. So from the videos that we've done previously as well, I feel like that's helped me. But yeah, just get an understanding of what it is you do. So obviously you collect data, analyse it, and help businesses work out better strategies for their day-to-day running and how to make them more money or where better situated their place of business is, their customers' experience, things like that. I feel like that all helps with the data that you're collecting.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And things like marketing as well, there's a big space for that too. Any kind of general model building.
Yeah.
What is it like when Caroline and I are melting down over our models?
Yeah, all I hear is error. Oh, another error. No, it's interesting to see you guys work because obviously it seems like there's a hell of a lot that goes into it, and a lot of time as well spent collecting data, waiting around for it.
Yeah.
Which I know from you guys hearing about that as well. So I admire you and the stuff you do because it seems hard work.
That's funny, and I love the way you said it really diplomatically, that we're like, oh, error, and in reality, it's a lot of swearing.
Yeah. I thought I'll keep it clean.
Liv had to text me to ask me if I was okay one day.
Yeah, I did feel for you that day. You were very stressed.
I was having a bad day with data, and nothing I was trying was working, and yeah, it was a bit of a rough one. But it's all good. We have fun for the most.
Yeah, we do. And the videos we're creating as well, I feel like they're a lot of fun. I mean, I'm finding out a lot of different things, such as binary trees.
Yeah.
The rule of 6, is it? Or no, 6
degrees of separation.
That's it.
Yeah.
6 degrees of separation, 8 neighbours, all of this. So, yeah.
Yeah, you took a crash course in data science topics, didn't you? For a video.
Yeah, picking up little bits here and there.
I feel like we might be gaslighting you as an office into thinking that you're the odd one out.
Yeah.
When in most rooms, all the rest of us are the odd one out.
That's so true, actually. Yeah, we're a data scientist heavy company, aren't we?
So,
I come in and I'm like, oh, there's all these smart people in the room and I'm just there doing admin.
No.
And this data science goes over my head, but slowly picking up some bits.
And you've gone the opposite way. You've gone from someone who is very much into the data science to now a layer of abstraction away because you're now architecturing a whole data science platform. What's that transition the other way like for you?
I mean, it's like anyone who's been promoted to their level of incompetence, isn't it?
Don't say that. We want them to trust us.
I mean that in the nicest possible way. Okay. As in, it's such a pattern, isn't it, that you become a technical expert. Yeah. And then you get promoted into management, and maybe people management is not your natural, comfort zone. Yeah. But there comes a point when in your career where you need to take that on, right? And you can actually be more effective directing a team than you can physically writing the code yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's a difficult transition for a lot of engineers, and I'm definitely still learning some new stuff, particularly like CEO. So obviously I've done like a CTO role a number of times, so I know what that's involved, but CEO's a bit different. New challenges, loving it so far. Yeah.
That's one thing that goes over my head is coding. I still don't really get the grips of what that entails and how that works as such.
Apparently you can ask an LLM to do it for you now. We've already ranted about vibe coding.
It's like do you learn to drive, or you just wait for the self-driving to come?
Right, okay.
That's the coding equivalent nowadays.
You and I both were going to wait for self-driving cars, weren't we?
At one point, yeah.
Yeah, at one point, yeah.
I'm not sure how safe I would actually feel in a self-driving car. Yeah, I like to have control.
Yeah.
To be sat in the back with no one behind the wheel I think would scare me.
And that's why no one should vibe code, because it's a lack of control.
Don't want to rail on Tesla too much, but I was driving my Tesla at the weekend, and twice when we were coming past junctions and there was like a turning off to the left, it didn't know whether to go straight or left. Like it couldn't read the British road markings properly.
See, this is my worry.
Like, that feels like it should be really basic. Why is it making mistakes at that level?
Yeah, I just feel like my trust with technology isn't 100% there.
Yeah.
Because it always fails. So to put all the trust into something that's going to get you from A to B, I don't know. It worries me.
I love that as an analogy. What you've just said there just like hits on one of my coding principles, which is it's going to break. Yeah. The quicker you can fix it when it breaks, the better. I don't want to harp on vibe coding too much, but it's kind of a worry now in this vibe coding space is that when the code is generated in a way that no one understands, then when it goes wrong, it's really hard to fix. You know, I come from a finance background where there was a lot of pressure if something went wrong, right? So if something went wrong, there is like a trader breathing down your neck, like you need to fix this now because I'm losing money. And so I always wrote code with the goal of this will break eventually. And when it does, I want to be able to understand it by reading it. Like if I have to debug it, it's already too much time wasted. And I think that's maybe a dying skill. If I had to like teach someone coding from scratch, that's exactly what I would start with. Like make it clear, because clear is like efficient. Even if the code doesn't run super efficiently, like that, obviously efficiency in code running is important, but that debug time is incredibly important because that's when things are going to be going wrong.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. I mean, when something works, it just drifts into the background, right?
Yeah.
And so inevitably, the bit that you end up like working on is the bit where it's failing, right?
Yes.
And so a lot of code should be about making it fail in a useful way and not a useless way.
So what I'm hearing is if the code doesn't fail very often, you've forgotten about it. So when it does fail, you have to relearn what you did. So make your code fail regularly. No, that's not the point we should be taking.
Let me put it this way, it's like an iterative cycle, right?
Yeah.
And if you wait an hour to get your result back and then it gives you like a decision, like a yes-no type decision answer, and then you run something and it takes another hour, that is quite a slow rate of progress.
Yeah.
Compared to like if it took a couple of minutes to get that bit of feedback and then start the next cycle.
Yeah.
That's the difference, I think.
It's almost like this is something that we're trying to fix at EvilWorks, is that iteration time.
Something that's frustrated us for years and just gets in the way of like actually doing the job.
Yeah.
Because like data science, it's an intersection of a bunch of skills.
Yeah.
And so like you need to use coding, but it's not primarily a coding job.
Yes.
And it's the same thing. It's like it uses mathematics, but it's not primarily a mathematics job. It uses like business knowledge, but it's not primarily a business-facing role, right? And having to deal with that intersection means that I need each of those areas to be taken care of to a high level to give me autonomy to do the actual job, which is about linking these areas together.
I feel like this is turning into a little bit of a like data science careers podcast, which I quite like.
I can't stop myself preaching. That's fine.
No, but I think we're talking about, like, we've touched on two different ends of the spectrum, right? We've talked about kind of getting into that career in the sense of the different skills that are into play, but we also talked about kind of moving up to that next level as well. And I'm wondering if we should kind of spend a little bit of time in each place.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
So where should we start? Should we talk about early data science careers, or should we talk about the transition upwards?
I think early, because my impression is there's a lot more early stage data scientists out there than there are.
For sure, yeah.
Kind of more people further on in their career, because suddenly lots of people are interested in it, basically.
Yeah. So what do we look for when we hire a junior data scientist? I'm asking you this question when I run the data science team. But.
Yeah. It's a certain type of common sense. It's about being able to think things through and like work out how the world actually works, not how you think it should work.
Yeah.
You've got to learn to trust the data and leave your preconceptions at the door.
For sure.
You need to understand like statistics, the difference between like looking at millions of footfalls versus like a crowd of people that you know.
Yeah, yeah.
That is a lifelong skill to learn, I think.
The way I would kind of sum up and extend on what you've just said is curiosity, right? Because we don't necessarily need someone who's come in and learnt the most advanced machine learning techniques out there. Like I remember when I used to interview in finance, there would like be people who only wanted to do machine learning, and that was like the most important thing to them. And you realise straight away they weren't a fit, because all they wanted to do was like narrow in on the maths that they wanted to do. And they didn't care about any of the rest of the stuff. They didn't care about the business problems. They didn't care about, you know, the stuff that you have to do, right? You have to do the data cleaning. There's no way around it as a data scientist. You're going to have to spend some time cleaning your data. You're going to have to spend some time explaining your results to stakeholders and saying what's going on. You're going to have to spend some time coordinating with the tech team, working with other people, and all of those kind of quote-unquote soft skills are really important. So if you're someone who just wants to do advanced machine learning techniques, yes, you might do really well in academia when you're really deep into all these things, but those skills don't transfer as well to the real world. And what's really more important is, does this person have an ability to learn? Because even if they're missing those kind of top-level machine learning techniques, they can learn them if and when we need them, but they need that curiosity to be able to dive into things and find interest in the business problem rather than necessarily the maths behind it, because the maths can be interesting, but it needs to be in that business context. And so when I'm like looking for someone, and you know, Caroline's great at this, it's that curiosity within the problem and understanding the problem, and then applying the maths that's appropriate for the problem, instead of trying to show off the fancy maths, you know, or anything like that.
That is so true. I really relate to that.
Yeah.
Because I think we've all had that experience of the junior comes into the team and they just want to use the fanciest technique.
Yes.
And to a more experienced eye, that's backwards.
Yeah.
You always start with the simplest technique that could possibly work, and you explore from there. Because there's a huge advantage to using a simple technique, because it's more transparent. And so if all you ever do is deploy like a really deep neural network, deep learning solution, you don't know how it works. And also, you're not really adding anything, right?
Yeah.
If you just ask an LLM and then take the LLM's output, why you know?
Yeah.
You're setting yourself up to have your job replaced.
Yeah, that's true, because even if you do program the whole like neural network yourself, it's still a black box, right? And the black box is a problem, exactly what I said earlier. Something's going to go wrong, we need to fix it. If you don't understand it, then you can't fix it quickly. And that's not to say that there's not a place for machine learning, but there are a number of drawbacks to that kind of black box setup that, you know, it shouldn't be your go-to. If you can do it in a simpler way, you should do it in a simpler way.
Well, let's clarify terminology there. So I would say machine learning includes plenty of very transparent methods, like linear regression.
That's fair.
Is a machine learning technique. People reach for deep learning too easily, is more my complaint.
Yeah, that's a good distinction. What do you look for when you're interviewing someone?
Whatever Graham tells me to do.
No, but you're in a unique position where you've interviewed a lot of really nerdy people as the, like...
That's true, yeah.
I mean, I suppose if I'm doing a video call, like an initial interview, I look for just if they'll get on with us. Yeah. Just have a bit of confidence with how they express their answers as well. Because if someone's mumbling or saying like, oh, I'm not really sure, then how are they going to explain what they're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely like a core thing I ask for, right, is communication skills. Yeah. And I do see that, like, further on I've got in my career, the more essential I see that as to the job, right? And I'm sympathetic as like an autist, like the communication, like we're very used to like lost in translation.
Yeah,
right?
sure, yeah.
And so I'm sympathetic when people feel like they've got a great idea, but they just can't communicate it.
Yeah.
But a lot of times the reason they can't communicate it is because it isn't a great idea, or it hasn't been thought through.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, by learning to communicate something, you understand it yourself. It's like that old thing about if you want to know a topic, try teaching it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that really rings true for me.
Yeah, I think it's even more important for us because we do the YouTube videos where we're explaining things, but I don't think it's just because we do those YouTube videos that's important, right? That's important across the board for data scientists. And it's something that universities do not do a good job of preparing people for. Maybe we won't get too deep into the weeds on that topic. What about on the other end of the career, in the transition from data scientists? I mean, technically you and I both went quants into that management leadership kind of thing, but it's a quant and a data scientist are fundamentally like 90% overlap, right? It's just the area you apply it to.
Yeah, what is the difference? Sorry to...
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. Essentially, there's like lots of little pockets in industry that have needed data science skills and have been paying for them and using them for 30 years, since around 2000 mostly.
Yeah.
But those were very isolated pockets, and data science as a keyword is starting to unify those things together, and that's only come out in the last few years, I would say.
Yeah.
To be honest, even today, it's not a well-recognised term. I'm sure it will be, though. And so those different areas had specific names. So quant was someone working on this kind of stuff in finance.
Yeah.
Right.
And that kind of kicked off, particularly around 2000. There's a bunch of similar profiles working in oil and gas, doing research, like particularly like all that geological data. Mm-hmm. That analysis is a classic area where people have been doing it since the 80s, right? Actuary, so the people who work in the insurance companies, and they help them come up with the right price for different types of insurance. And operational research is the other one.
Yeah.
So that's like where Tesco runs some algorithm to optimise where to put things on the shelf, that kind of stuff. And so there were all those little pockets, and I guess what data science as a keyword is about is recognising that those skills are all really very much interrelated and the same. And in particular, in the new world, we start to have to bring the things together across what used to be, say, divides between different parts of the business, like marketing versus product development. And so that's where you need tools that help you see data as data, not just like a siloed tool for each area of your business.
Yeah, it's also, you mentioned marketing as an example, because I'm sure, I don't know what the terms are because obviously I don't have a marketing background, but there's data scientists that worked in marketing for years, right? They were doing the analytics that shows which marketing campaign works and which doesn't. So it's kind of, I guess the short answer is, what's the difference between quant and a data scientist? It's just that quant is a specific application to finance, and data science is kind of the more general application across the board, but the fundamental skills are pretty similar. Like, there's not a huge amount, just maybe there's slightly more of an emphasis on some kind of skills in the quant space than there might be in general data science. So
for like the quants, the rite of passage is learning a quite esoteric type of maths called stochastic calculus, right?
Absolutely,
It's almost
It's an easy maths.
Well, no, that's not easy.
But yeah, it's kind of like that rite of passage in that in that industry. That's the rite of passage.
Right.
Is learning that particular bit of math.
Yeah, but it's also like I went and did the whole my master's degree was in financial maths, and so I learned all of that stochastic calculus, risk neutral pricing measures, all that kind of stuff. That was all the maths they were doing in the 1970s, and it is not really the reality of what quants today do, which is much more data science as we know it in other industries. Like, there's been a convergence on the generic data science outside of this really like niche maths it kind of was before. Basically, it all got proven wrong in 2008, and so the industry went and did a big shake-up, and now everything looks completely different to how it looked pre-2008.
Yeah.
Does that mean you have to learn different things now?
Yeah, so the fundamental kind of maths and stats that you learn to get the job is still applicable, in the sense that the skills you learn are still relevant, but the emphasis on like how do you price an option nowadays, like every single bank and hedge fund out there has a built-in library to price an option.
Right.
No one really needs that anymore. And so the stuff that you end up working on is much more like modeling based in a data science world. Like, you know, I was doing things like principal component analysis or like ridge and lasso regression, which I've just spoken about in a video, and things like that, which is that kind of stuff sits way more in the machine learning kind of space than the typical pricing stuff that they originally did.
Yeah, no notes.
No notes. So to bring it back to my question that I originally asked you, is that transition from individual contributor doing the thing up to leadership. I mean, you were managing a big team in your previous career. Now you're managing an entire company. Tell me a little bit about that journey and what it was like making that transition.
Well, ask me again in a year, and I'll tell you how it turned out. But honestly, I don't know how it's going to turn out. Think of it like a bit of a natural experiment.
Sure.
Because I'm definitely going to like manage the business in quite a scientific, data-driven way.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's my background. Right. I think the world needs a bit more of that. In the AI age, you can no longer count on like the bureaucracy within the company to solve all the kind of problems, and it'll be the companies that start to blend like AI and human like resources in a bit more microscopically, like within different areas of the business that really kind of outcompete and succeed. So I'm trying to not make any assumptions.
Yeah.
I think the new world that we're going into looks completely different to what the business world looked like in the past. And therefore, what I'm trying to not do is assume that just because something was a certain way in the past, that it's going to be the certain way in the future, which you could argue is exactly what went wrong in the 2008 crisis.
Yeah, past performance does not guarantee future performance, I think, is something that's very well said in the finance industry. So maybe then what I might talk about is kind of that mid-career stage of that moving from, okay, you're an individual, to moving into that kind of first layer of leadership, because I think that's a really interesting inflection point in a lot of people's careers, because there's kind of different paths that people take, right? And if I look at the tech industry for comparison, but it's a similar sort of concept, right? You have the individuals that stay on an individual contributor path. So their whole thing is they want to be like a specialist in what they're doing. They want to be really highly technical. And so that's their path. They never take on any leadership or any management stuff. They just stay very technical, and they're very valuable because they tend to have a lot of really niche, in-depth knowledge about where they are. And if something breaks and they're responsible for it, that's going to get fixed quickly, right? Then you have the layer of kind of team leader people, and they're people that kind of can take a project forwards, and often they're not given any explicit management, but they are given leadership in that they have to push that project forwards. And that's a really interesting kind of inflection point. I know that's the kind of space that I went into for a long time. And then after that comes, explicit management. You have a team, you do performance reviews, you're responsible for how people do and things like that. And so that kind of transition between, individual contributor at the beginning of your career. If you want to stay technical, you stay technical, that path's valid. But then you've got team leadership versus actual management. And I want to kind of talk a little bit about the team leadership space, because I think that's really interesting in the sense that you have to learn how to influence without explicit authority. I think that is a really interesting skill to develop, because often when you're a team lead, you're not setting that person's workload on your team, because you can't. That's their manager's job, right? You can't tell someone that you need them to do better or anything like that. And you don't have the power to promote anyone, give them a pay rise or anything like that. But you have to lead the project and get it done. Often, because that's often the first kind of rung of leadership that I think data scientists will come across. And so I distinctly remember having a chat with my manager the first time I kind of stepped up into this position. Got some fantastic advice that I use even now as a manager, in the sense of set out the priorities that the project has or the team has, and get people to self-select what they're going to do. By getting them to self-select, then they buy in and they have ownership, and then they're much more likely to take it through. And that way you're not giving them it, which could feel a bit awkward because you don't have the explicit authority. You're letting them choose what they have and take that forwards. And, sometimes everything left in that pile is rubbish that no one wants to do. And that just happens. But if you get someone and you're like, yes, I know this bit of work no one wants to do, let's do it together. Who's going to take this bit here? It's much easier to kind of get that buy-in, get things moving.
Or this task as a whole is daunting and no one wants to do it. However, if we split it in half and you do this bit and I do that bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Then it feels like a team project rather than the solo.
And genuinely, it's like making it easier to digest.
Yeah. Exactly.
In some ways, I actually think that stage is really the hardest part to learn, those kind of leadership skills. Management comes with its own struggles as well, right? They have to deal with the stuff like, if someone's out a lot because they're ill, or someone is seriously underperforming, the manager then has to deal with that, and it's got its own complicated people challenges. But that kind of first level of leadership role, I think, is a really important one, because that opens up the door to data science management and leadership beyond that as well.
And let's spell out why that skill's important for people, because it might not be obvious. Even say you become this big shot and you've got a team of 100 people under you, you're going to be working inside a much bigger company.
Yeah.
And so most of the people you're going to be talking to are not underneath your direct reports.
Yes.
Because most of the time you can get them to do what you want by being in charge of them, right?
Yeah.
So you will spend all your effort talking to people who don't have line authority. You don't have line authority over, and so that's why that skill that skill is so essential. I feel like persuasion is too long a word for it, too strong a word for it. It's that influencing, right? And it's a bit of an awkward way of phrasing it as well. It's that ability to generate buy-in and build those relationships that we're just not taught it. Especially when you're a nerd, you're just not taught it. It's less persuasion and more explaining yourself.
Yeah.
In our world.
Yeah.
Right? It's not my idea versus your idea. It's more let me explain what's going on here technically.
Yeah.
Because most problems in this space are the two people are talking different languages in some sense.
Absolutely.
Or to look at it another way, if you're wondering where the problem is, it's almost always in the premise of the question.
Yes.
It's the assumptions that you go into the meeting with, the technical assumptions that probably need to be questioned.
Yeah, for sure.
And learning how to do that, and that skill, I think, is where you make the difference. Yeah, I think in some ways the actual data science is kind of easy compared to some of the people problems that come up along the way. That, I think, is good experience that we share, right? Is we managing really smart people. Yes. Is its own skill. Yes, for sure, for sure. Because
they've all got their own opinions.
They've all got their own opinions. Yeah. And they're used to being the smartest person in the room. Yeah, yeah. And that because it's like herding cats, because you've got multiple of them. Mm-hmm. Yes. And you've got to get them to a consensus. Yeah, which is not. And you've got your own ideas, and they're maybe inflexible in their own way, and it's how do you put all this together? So I'm really happy that I spent my career so far, a lot of it doing that, because I think that is exactly the skill that is going to be needed over the next 10 years. Yeah, and I think we're running about 30 minutes, but I actually think that's quite a profound quote to end the episode. Yeah, that's good stuff, yeah. It's good stuff. So it wasn't intended to turn this way, but we've turned this into a bit of a data science career explainer for different stages. So thank you very much for listening, everyone. We will be back doing these on a regular basis. I'm not making promises of how regular, but we do have a video coming out every single week touching on a data science topic. And we also are soon to be launching our closed beta on our data science platform, designed to make your job a whole lot easier and stop you wasting so much time and waiting around. So go check your code. It's either finished by now or you've hit a bug and you need to run it again, and then you can go watch one of our other videos instead. Thank you very much. I will see you in the next one.